You're not getting a single thing. Marissa, we rewrote the will this morning. That was the sentence my father said as he slid a crisp stack of papers across the kitchen table on the morning of my 18th birthday. His voice wasn't angry. It was bored. Like he was telling me to take out the trash. My stepmother, Dana, didn't even look up from her mimosa. We just felt it was time to prioritize the children who actually appreciate us. The children she meant were her twin sons, Liam and Jonah, not me. I scanned the last page of the photocopied will, and there it was. My name crossed out with red ink. Not just replaced, erased. My chest didn't explode. It didn't break. It went quiet and icy. Sinking quiet I'd only felt once before the day my real mother died, and for a terrifying second, I thought that was the end of my story. I didn't know that 10 years later. They would come back to sue me for the life I built without them. Before I continue, thank you for being here with me through this painful beginning. If any part of this moment feels familiar to something you've lived, your support through a comment, a share, or even a gentle subscribe truly means more than I can say. I appreciate you for listening. I folded the will slowly, as if handling a fragile artifact. Then I looked at my father, this man who once lifted me onto his shoulders at county fairs, who cried at my kindergarten graduation, who swore he would raise me the way my mother wanted. What did I do? I whispered. He shrugged. You grew up. Dana smirked over her glass. And you became inconvenient. Inconvenient. I'd spent the last 4 years doing every chore in this house, cooking, cleaning, driving the twins to practice, studying late at night while everyone else slept because Dad insisted the electric bill was too high. I worked part-time to buy my own clothes, my own school supplies, even groceries when Dana forgot. But none of that mattered. They'd chosen their real family. And it wasn't me, Dad said. Don't make a scene. You'll still have a place to stay if you stay useful. Useful. That was the moment something inside me shifted, because what they didn't know, what they never knew, was that my grandmother, the only person who truly loved me, had prepared for this day long before cancer took her. She left behind one thing Dad never expected, a trust in my name, activated the moment I turned 18, with full, irreversible legal authority. I didn't even answer them. I just walked upstairs, closed my bedroom door, opened my laptop, and typed in the password I'd memorized 5 years ago but never dared to use. The screen loaded. Marissa Hale, sole trustee, full power of sale effective today. My hands shook not with fear, with clarity. My father and his new family thought they had cut me out of everything. They had no idea the house they lived in, the accounts they used, the assets they depended on, were legally mine now. And this birthday, it wasn't the end. It was the fuse. People say childhood shapes you. Mine carved me. When my mother died, I was 9, young enough to believe adults told the truth, old enough to feel the exact moment someone stops loving you. Dad remarried within a year. Enter Dana, perfect hair, perfect smile, perfectly calculated sweetness that evaporated the second the front door closed. Her twin sons moved into my room the same week. Family shares, she said, dumping their boxes on my bed. You'll sleep in the guest room. It's smaller. But girls don't need as much space. Dad didn't argue. That was the beginning of being rearranged. Like furniture that didn't match the new decor, the years that disappeared. From ages 10 to 17, I became the babysitter, the maid, the tutor, the errand runner, the cook, the person blamed for everything the twins did wrong, the invisible one. While Liam and Jonah got new bikes, new cleats, new gaming consoles, I got transferred chores and hand-me-down clothes 2 sizes too big. Dad called it sharing responsibilities. Dana called it preparing you for real life. But it wasn't preparation. It was conditioning. Every time I did well in school, Dad said, "Good. Now help the boys catch up." Every time I asked to join a club or go to a friend's house, Dana said, "We already have plans. Be useful." When I suggested applying for college, Dad reminded me, "We can't afford that. Not with the boys' activities. Maybe a community class or two." And somehow, I accepted it, because when you're taught your whole life that you're lucky just to be allowed in the room, you start believing it. The only person who saw me, my grandmother, my mother's mother, never believed the lies. She would pull me aside during holidays, press a cookie into my hand, and whisper, "You're not invisible. Mary girl. They're blind." She paid for my summer camps. She bought me my first laptop. She made me promise never to give up on myself. What I didn't know was that she was doing more, much more, while Dad and Dana were busy building their perfect little family. My grandmother was meeting with attorneys, signing documents, securing accounts. She had seen the storm coming long before I did. Her last words to me were soft, tired, but certain. One day they will try to take everything from you. Make sure, when that day comes, you already have everything you need. I didn't understand then, but I do now. The birthday that changed everything. When Dad slid the rewritten will across the kitchen table, there wasn't hesitation in his eyes, just entitlement, just expectation, just the certainty that I would nod. Accept. Stay small the way I always had. I remember Dana's voice from years ago. She's too quiet, too obedient, too grateful. She's easy to control. They didn't rewrite the will because I failed them. They rewrote it because they thought they owned me, because they believed the version of me they spent years shaping, the one too scared to say no, too grateful to push back, too lonely to walk away, was still here. They didn't realize she died the day my grandmother did, and the girl sitting across from them now, she wasn't going to beg. She wasn't going to cry. She wasn't going to accept scraps from people who never intended to feed her. This time, when they tried to cut me out, I finally saw the truth. They hadn't forgotten me. They'd underestimated me. I carried the photocopied will upstairs like it might burn straight through my fingers. Dad yelling downstairs. Dana pretending she felt bad. The twins laughing about finally getting the basement gaming room. It all felt distant, muffled, like I was underwater. I closed my bedroom door, sat on the edge of the bed I'd slept in since childhood, and stared at the red slash across my name, crossed out, erased, deleted, the way my grandmother predicted. A knock came before I could even take a breath. Dana didn't wait for permission, she just walked in. "Sweetheart, don't take this so personally," she sighed, crossing her arms. "Your father and I talked about it for months. You're about to turn 18. It's time for you to figure things out on your own." "Figure things out," I echoed. She nodded like she was giving sage advice. "You're not college material, Marissa. And let's be honest, you're too soft to survive corporate work. You'll find something eventually." My jaw tightened. She wasn't finished. "Oh." And before I forget, she held up another document. "A release form. You'll need to sign this so the boys can legally claim the house assets once the probate is processed." I didn't move, didn't blink. She wiggled the paper closer. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Something inside me cracked, not loud. Not violent. Sharp. Clean. Final. I stood up so slowly she actually stepped back. "I'm not signing anything," I said. Dana blinked. "Excuse me." I said no. Her face twisted. "Marissa, stop being dramatic. You don't own anything here. You don't deserve anything here." She kept talking, but I stopped listening. Because in that moment, the last piece of the puzzle clicked. My father had never intended to raise me. Dana had never intended to include me. The twins had never intended to respect me. I wasn't losing a family. I had never had one. The confrontation. When I walked downstairs, Dad was waiting pacing, irritated, rehearsing a speech he'd clearly been preparing for months. "There you are," he snapped. "We need to talk about your attitude just now. Sign the release form and stop dragging this out." "No," I said again. Calmly, Dana gasped behind him. Noah muttered. "Wow." Jonah whispered. "She actually said it." Dad stepped closer, jaw clenched. "You ungrateful little girl. I fed you, housed you, and this is how you repay me. You didn't feed me." I said quietly. "Grandma did. You didn't raise me." "I raised myself." His face went red. "You will sign." "I won't." He reached for my wrist. A habit, from years earlier, a gesture of control. I pulled back, and for the first time ever, he froze. He didn't know what to do with a daughter who didn't flinch. "Fine," he growled. "If you walk out that door, don't come back expecting help. Don't come back expecting family." "I'm not coming back at all," I said. The twins laughed nervously. Dana looked satisfied she had finally gotten rid of me. But then I added the sentence that made her hand tighten around her champagne glass. "And I'm not leaving empty-handed." Dad scoffed. "You have nothing. Not for long." I thought, but I didn't say it. Not yet. Instead, I gathered my bag, walked to the front door, and placed my hand on the knob. For a moment, I looked back at the people who claimed to love me. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff and finally realizing I had wings. "You shouldn't have underestimated me," I said softly. Then I stepped outside. The door clicked behind me like the last line of a chapter I was never meant to survive. But I survived anyway. Leaving that house with nothing felt terrifying. But waking up the next morning without fear, that felt new. Strange. Almost addictive. I spent my first night on my friend Jess's couch, a lumpy gray thing that squeaked every time I turned over. The thin blanket did almost nothing against the January cold. Jess pressed a mug of hot chocolate into my hands and said, "You're doing the right thing, even if it hurts." I nodded. But honestly, I felt hollow. Like someone had scooped my insides out with an ice cream spoon. By sunrise, the ache settled into something sharper. Determination. I opened my grandmother's old email account, the one only she and I knew existed. Buried in the folder labeled recipes was the file I'd never been allowed to open until I turned 18. Hale Family Trust, beneficiary Marissa Hale. Authority of trustee, full power of sale, effective date, January 3rd, Marissa's 18th birthday. My hands shook reading it. My grandmother didn't leave me jewelry or memories. She left me leverage. She left me power. She left me every legal document Dad thought still belonged to him. I scrolled through the attached PDFs. The original deed to the house, ownership rights to the Hale family land, savings accounts in my grandmother's name, a property evaluation from when the market peaked, and most shocking, the mortgage Dad refinanced last year using her name, estate as collateral. Collateral he had no legal access to. Collateral that now legally belonged to me. My breath caught. Dad wasn't just cruel, he was sloppy. He had assumed that once he cut me out of the will, I would disappear quietly. He had no idea that my grandmother locked everything down years before he had the chance to steal it. I whispered, "You brilliant woman." Into the silence, finding freedom in the struggle. For the next few days, I juggled 2 part-time jobs, a bakery shift at dawn, and stocking shelves at a craft store in the evening. It wasn't glamorous, but for once, every dollar I earned was mine, and at night, while Jess slept, I sat at her kitchen table reading more of the trust documents. The deeper I went, the more the shape of a new life began forming quietly inside me. The kind of life where I didn't have to beg for a crumb of affection. The kind of life where I didn't have to fight for a place at the table. The kind where I built my own table. But I also discovered something else. Dad had taken out a private loan tied to the house. A loan he couldn't legally take. A loan now tied to ME. Meaning the bank would be coming after someone, and that someone wasn't going to be me. Not if I acted first. Not if I used the power my grandmother gave me. Not if I finally stood up. A new plan forms. Late one night, I sent an email to the attorney listed on the trust documents. Subject: activate full authority. Message: I am ready. Proceed. My heart pounded as I hit send. Because that message didn't just activate my legal rights. It activated the end of the life my father built on lies. Before I continue, thank you for staying with me through this turning point. If you've ever rebuilt your life from nothing, or found strength where others expected weakness, your support through a like, comment, share, or even a gentle subscribe truly means more than I can express. I'm grateful you're here with me. The lawyer responded faster than I expected. By noon the next day, I was sitting in a glass office overlooking downtown. Hands wrapped around a cup of coffee I couldn't feel warm. Mr. Thatch tall. Gray hair. Eyes sharp like someone who'd read thousands of contracts and forgotten. None of them slid a folder toward me. Your grandmother was exceptionally thorough. He said, you have full authority over every asset tied to the Hale Trust. The house. The land. The accounts. All of it. I swallowed. So my father has no claim. None. He said, tapping the signature page. And any loans he secured using these assets are legally void. The bank cannot pursue you. Only him. A breath I didn't know I was holding slipped out of me. Now, he continued, you asked whether you could sell the house. I nodded. He opened a second folder. You can list it immediately. Today. If you want. And the moment it sells, your father is legally required to vacate the property. I felt the ground shift under me. This wasn't revenge. This was justice wearing paperwork. The phone call. That afternoon, my father called. I didn't answer. He called again. And again. 7 times. Finally, he left a voicemail. His voice dripping with anger. He was pretending was concern. Marissa, we need to talk. Now. Your little stunt with the lawyer is causing problems. You don't understand the mess you've created. Call me back. I replayed it once, then deleted it. He wasn't worried about me. He was worried about losing the house he'd remodeled for Dana. The house he bragged about to coworkers. The house he used as a stage to pretend he was a better man than he really was, and he was about to lose it. Because he never imagined the daughter he erased from the will was the one person with the legal power to erase him from the house. The invitation. That evening, Jess burst into our apartment holding her phone. Mari, did you see this? She held up a group message from my extended family. Family gathering Saturday at 6 p.m. Agenda discuss Marissa's behavior and her attempt to destabilize the Hale household. I almost laughed. Of course. Of course, Dad would try to spin the narrative. Of course, they'd try to make me the villain. Jess folded her arms. You are not going to that. But I was already shaking my head. I am, I said calmly. Because if they want to talk about the Hale household, I picked up the trust documents. Then I'll bring the actual ownership papers. Jess's eyes widened. Marissa, are you sure? I nodded slowly. For 18 years, they talked over me. Saturday. They'll finally listen. The preparation. I spent the next 2 days gathering everything. Copies of the trust. the voided mortgage, property deeds, email threads with the attorney, market evaluations, a pending listing agreement for the house half. Each piece of paper felt like a brick heavy. Real. Undeniable. Not weapons. Truth. And I was done hiding from the truth. Jess watched me slip the documents into a neat leather folder. "You look like you're going to war," she whispered. I met her eyes. "I'm going to end one." The calm before the storm. The night before the family meeting. I stepped outside the apartment and looked up at the sky. Cold. Clear. Quiet. A year ago, I would have begged my father to see me. Begged Dana to treat me fairly. Begged the twins to stop laughing at me. Tonight, I didn't need their validation. I had something stronger than their approval. I had autonomy. I had clarity. I had legal authority. And tomorrow, when I walked into that living room, I would no longer be the forgotten child standing in the corner. I would be the woman holding their fate in a folder. The house looked different when I walked in. Smaller. Colder. Barely recognizable now that I knew the truth buried under its floorboards. My father stood in the living room like a general preparing to scold a soldier who had stepped out of line. Dana positioned herself beside him, eyes glossy with rehearsed disappointment. Liam and Jonah slouched on the couch, smirking like they were about to watch a show. My aunt, uncle, and two cousins sat stiffly on dining chairs. They weren't here for me, they were here for gossip. Dad cleared his throat loudly. "Well, look who decided to join us. Sit." I didn't move. "I'll stand." He frowned. "Marissa, this is already difficult. Don't make it harder." "No," I said. "I won't make it harder. But I also won't make it easier for you." A ripple of unease moved across the room. The accusation. Dad held up a folder dramatically, probably hollow inside. "You've caused financial problems for this family with your irresponsible actions. Interfering with legal documents. Contacting lawyers behind my back." I raised an eyebrow. "Behind your back, Dad. They weren't your lawyers." He ignored that. "You need to apologize. Right now. In front of everyone." Dana chimed in, voice trembling theatrically. "We've done everything for you, Marissa. And you repay us by sabotaging our home. It's cruel." Liam scoffed. "Seriously. Just admit you overreacted." Jonah added, "You're not even part of this family anymore. Just leave us alone." My chest should have hurt. It didn't. I opened my leather folder. The same one holding their entire world. The reveal. "Actually," I said softly, "that's what I came here to talk about. The house. The family. The truth." Dad stiffened. "What truth?" I pulled out the first document and handed it to my aunt, the one person in the room who wasn't openly hostile. Her eyes widened. "Is this real?" "Oh. Yes," I said. "That's the Hale Trust." Dad barked. "Give me that." He snatched the paper from her hands, scanned it, and for the first time since I was a child, I watched fear creep across his face. "This is impossible. My mother would never." "She did," I replied. "She protected me. From exactly this." Dana lunged forward. "This is forged." I handed her the notarized original. "No." "Dana, that's your signature witnessing the trust. Right there." She went pale. Liam and Jonah stopped smirking. My father's voice cracked. "Marissa, what did you do?" "I didn't do anything," I said. "Grandma did. She made me trustee. She gave me full authority. And yesterday, I activated it legally." Silence. Thick. Heavy. Suffocating. "You mean to tell me," Dad whispered, "that you control the house?" "Yes." "And the land?" "Yes." "And the accounts tied to it?" "All of them." Dana staggered back into a chair like someone had cut her strings. But we refinanced last year. We remodeled the kitchen. You used collateral you didn't own. The loan is void. I turned to my father. And guess who's legally responsible for repaying it, not me? He dropped the paper. It fluttered to the floor like a dead thing. The final blow. I pulled out the final document. This, I said, is the listing agreement. The house goes on the market Monday morning. Dad's head snapped up. You what? I'm selling it. Dana shrieked. You can't throw us out of our home. It's not your home. I said simply. Jonah pointed at me. Voice cracking. You're evil, Liam added. You can't do this to us. I met their eyes one by one. You erased me from your family. I'm just returning the paperwork. My father gripped the edge of the table like it was the only solid thing left in his world. Marissa, his voice was barely a whisper. Where will we go? For a brief second tiny second, the old version of me wanted to comfort him, but then I remembered the chores, the insults, the will, the release form, the years of being invisible, the look on his face when he crossed my name out and the softness evaporated. That, I said quietly, is not my problem anymore. The room fell silent. Everyone watched me. Not the burden, not the background, not the girl they could control. For the first time ever, they watched me as the person holding all the power, and I truly breathed for the first time. The house sold in 9 days. 9. A real estate bidding war broke out, apparently. The Hale property was considered prime renovation material, whatever that meant. All I knew was the moment the final offer hit my inbox. A cold, clean sense of closure settled inside me. It was done. Dad received the formal eviction notice from the new owners. Dana screamed. Liam punched a hole in the wall. Jonah threw his gaming console down the stairs. But none of that changed the outcome. By law, they had 30 days to vacate. By week 2, they were gone. The house I once slept in, cried in, prayed in, became empty for the first time. Not because I lost it, but because I reclaimed it, a new beginning actually mine, with the sale funds finally released to me. I rented a small but beautiful condo overlooking the river. Nothing extravagant, just a place where the floor didn't creak with old ghosts and the air didn't taste like disappointment. I bought my own dishes, my own towels, my own furniture, my own life. I enrolled in night classes business law. Of all things, because I wanted to understand every inch of the system that once tried to crush me, I took a job at a property management office, working with a woman named Harper who said, on my first day, "You're sharper than you think." Marissa, own it. For the first time, I believed her. The unexpected knock. 3 months after the house was sold, someone knocked on my door, softly, almost timidly. When I opened it, my father stood there. He looked older, grayer, like guilt had been eating him from the inside out. "Marissa," he said, voice low, "I needed to talk to you." I didn't step aside. I didn't invite him in. But I didn't shut the door either. He swallowed hard. "I thought cutting you out would make life easier," he admitted. "Dana convinced me you'd leave anyway, that you didn't care about this family, that you weren't really mine." My chest tightened. "But watching you walk away," he continued, "showed me something I didn't see before. You were the only one who stayed, the only one who tried, and I repaid you with cruelty." He lowered his eyes. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed you to hear I'm sorry." The old version of me would have cried, begged, hoped for love. The new me simply nodded. "I believe you're sorry," I said. His eyes lifted, almost hopeful, but sorry isn't the same as repairing the damage. He exhaled shakily. I know. I stepped back half an inch, not enough to invite him in, but enough to offer something softer than rejection. I don't hate you, I said, but I won't go back. A tear rolled down his cheek. I'm glad you didn't, he whispered. And then he left. Shoulders heavy. Footsteps slow. I closed the door gently behind him. It didn't hurt. It didn't reopen old wounds. It felt like putting the last puzzle piece into place. Like peace. The ending my grandmother wanted. One evening, I stood on my balcony overlooking the river, the city lights shimmering like tiny promises. I wasn't wealthy. I wasn't famous. I wasn't part of a perfect family. But I was finally free. My grandmother once told me, one day they'll try to take everything from you. Make sure that when that day comes, you already have everything you need. She wasn't talking about money. She meant strength, clarity, self-worth, and she was right. I smiled into the breeze. I wasn't the erased daughter anymore. I was the woman who refused to disappear. Thank you for walking with me to the end of this story. If Marissa's journey touched something familiar in your own life, your gentle support through a like, comment, share, or even a quiet subscribe truly means more than I can express. I'm grateful you stayed with me,